that's it. That's the end of the project. We got it running. Huge shout out to a few people first off before we get in this video. Chavis Performance Engineering, they supplied everything for the swap kit. Did a video on them, talked about how I was comparing them with Renegade, why I went with them, so check that out. The salvage guys, they provided the L76 engine that went into this project, so a huge shout out to them for hooking us up for that. And then the Shenanigans Speed Shop, they helped us out with the tune and got some killer numbers on it. Anyways, before I get into that, all the links to them are going to be in the description below. So if you are in the British Columbia area, do check them out. But they do ship worldwide for the salvage guys if you need any parts for Porsches or Ferraris or whatever. They deal in lots of stuff. And of course, check out Chavis for everything on the swap side of things. Or he can actually do the build for you. So cool guy to check out as well. Really helpful. Anyways, let's get into some of the final stuff. Of course, the project's done. I'm going to put in quotes, projects are really never done, but there are a few things that I do want to improve in the winter, and I'll get into that too. So, final numbers on the tune came out way above what I expected. I was hoping for maybe high 300s in terms of horsepower and torque. I was able to get 492 horsepower and 422 foot-pounds of torque on the tune. Crazy. Really speaks to the tuner at Shenanigans. Did an amazing job. It is a stock L76 out of a Pontiac G8, which we did the displacement on demand delete. Did some videos on that with the review on the engine. It has a performance cam in it, GM performance cam, double lifter springs, double valve springs. And that's pretty much about it. The rest of it's pretty much bone stock. I did a refresh on it, cleaned up the heads, cleaned up all the carbon off, all the pistons and stuff, but crazy numbers. That was actually on a dyno, so that's not engine numbers, that's wheel numbers. So that was really cool. The car is completely insane to drive. I'm actually going to take some time to get used to it. Just to give you some perspective, a turbo in the same generation in 2008 put out 480 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. So I'm 12 horsepower above a stock turbo and 38 foot-pounds of torque under a stock turbo. So, that's right. So yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy to have in a C2. In terms of my thoughts on the project, I bought this car with a blown motor, and the engine was completely garbage. So obviously, I couldn't rebuild it. The cost of a totally rebuilt motor or another used motor is really high on these Porsches, obviously. Then you have the ongoing maintenance. So an LS swap, in my view, made a lot of sense. If you were just trying to do upgrades on the stock 3.8, say supercharger or turbo or something like that, to get these kind of horsepower numbers, I don't think you'd get there. And if you did, you'd probably blow the motor pretty quick. So if you were just to look at it from a pure horsepower, torque perspective in terms of an upgrade, like for like, leaps and bounds going this way make a lot of sense. Long-term reliability, the LS motors are extremely reliable, parts are easy to get, and they're way cheaper than the Porsche. The engine is lighter, so I mean, yeah, it's just a complete no-brainer. So I'm really glad I did it. There was some frustrating moments. I did share some of those with the video, some things that I went through, but I'm glad I stuck with it at the end. In terms of what I want to do in the wintertime, just to maybe, if you're going to take this project on, I'll do some videos of it when I do it, so if you do take the project on, you can go a different way. I am trying to retain the stock deck lid with the power spoiler. I like the kind of cleaner look of just having a power spoiler. But there is a lot of clearance issues. There's issues with how you have to do the air intake, and then getting all the mechanisms to actually clear. So there's some engineering I have to do there. This is actually a spare deck lid. I got this off the salvage guys as well. I had to cut some holes in the bottom to clear the air intake that comes from Chavis. And then I designed and printed some mounts to hold the wing up basically fixed. In the winter, I plan on getting a ducktail insert. It actually goes in here. It's a bolt-in style, so I can open up the air intake more. I can design it more of an air intake box, kind of like more of the old school kind of 80s or 90s turbos. I guess 80s turbos. So it's got a big air cleaner up top to suck cold air in. But that's my plan. I still have the original deck lid and spoiler that came off this car that's untouched. So I'm going to use this spare one as some engineering, kind of figure out if I can make it all work. And then I can use the original deck lid to get the power functionality back if I want to go back to a stock look. But anyway, that's for the winter. Other thing I'm going to do is the heater hoses. So the heater hoses go for quite a long line. Most people run them from the Porsche connections over top of the engine and then into the LS setup. I did mine where I came up the passenger side and then went across the rear bumper and then into the LS water pump using AN fittings. So I took the press fit fittings out of the stock water pump and then I put in threaded AN fittings and then I ran a 180 and a 90. It works, but I don't like to have that much rubber hose and connections. Just prone to failure. You can get hose clamps get loose, everything else. So I'm actually going to go hard lines. Still the same routing, but I'm going to route hard line across the bumper, rubber, and then hard line all the way down, and then rubber connecting to the original lines. And there's a few mount points I want to put it so it's not flopping around or anything. So I want to change that. The headers on here, the BBK headers, they're known to put out a lot of heat. I did put some heat wrap in there as best I could with the engine in the car. It did help us with the intake air temperatures and everything we were seeing, so it seems fine. I had to get ceramic plug wires because of the heat, but I do want to drop the engine out again, properly wrap the headers with heat wrap, titanium heat wrap, and then put some offset aluminum heat shields on there just to really maximize the heat reduction that I'm getting in the engine bay. So that's quite a bit of work. I'll probably end up doing the transmission mount. I did a slotted style. It works, doesn't look that great. You know, I think I could do a weld-in kind of situation where it would look a lot better. Admittedly, I was in a bit of a rush to kind of get the car done so I could get some miles on it before the season was over. We're now getting into mid-September, so I'll be lucky to get a few miles on it before the weather changes and I got to put it away. So I achieved that goal, but there are a few things I didn't like, so that's one thing. So I'm going to get another bracket, and then I'll cut weld it, make it look really good, and then put that back in. Since the engine's coming out anyway to do the heat wrap, I'm going to change the exhaust. You'll probably see in the video the tips I went with the clearances and the mufflers and everything I had. I've done vibrant resonators to vibrant mufflers after an X-pipe that goes underneath the oil pan. I did put a lot of heat shielding on the X-pipe. I'm not seeing any high oil temperatures, so I think we're good, but I'm actually going to get the stock mufflers back with the stock tips. I don't like how far these tips stick out. They look nice, but on this car, I want more flush like the stock one. I'm going to go with vibrant resonators straight off of the headers, likely to an X-pipe closer towards the back instead of underneath the engine this time, and then connecting it to the factory mufflers with braces that are coming off the engine to hold the mufflers in place. So it will get more stock. These tips and that muffler, I've got other projects I'm thinking about using that on, so it's all good. I'll reuse this stuff. So that's one of the other projects I want to do. Yeah, I think that's most of the major projects I want to actually take on. There's probably going to be more things I got to clean up as I kind of work the bugs out. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of a wrap-up video. Apologies, there's not more of like a whole bunch of driving and putting it through the gears. I was doing a bit of the filming, but it didn't really turn out. And to be honest, it was my first drive with it, and I really wanted to pay attention to how the car operated until I get used to it. I can tell you it pulls like crazy. The numbers I was getting on the dyno, those 492, is at about 6,300 RPM. It had a really flat, nice torque band. Everywhere from like 3,800 to 4,000 up into like 5,800. So when you're going through gears, it absolutely launches. So I was really trying to pay attention to it versus filming. But I did get a mount and everything for it, so I will do some more driving videos before the season's done. I'll post some updates and along with the project we're working on. Other than that, I think it's been a great build. You know, I did a lot of other stuff outside doing the swap. You know, I got the wheels redone and more of a retro styling. Changed out the sports seats. I did the Android touchscreen stereo unit to update it so I can get CarPlay and everything in there. Did the third radiator in the front just to add some more cooling to it. And just some other general maintenance kind of stuff while I was in there. Sway bar linkages and stuff in the back were worn, so I did those. Stuff like that. Anyways, like I said, just to wrap up, hope you enjoyed following the project. I will probably, like, again, post another kind of project of showing the nice little things I want to do in the winter, and then it's on back to the 32, get that up and running. It's actually ready to turn and fire up. I just didn't do it as I stopped to do the Porsche project. So we'll probably be switching gears into a different playlist around the 32. And then I start getting in the body work and stuff in the wintertime. But anyways, that's it. That's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed it. Just like, subscribe, do all those things. It really helps. Add any comments. If you start to do a swap, you have any questions, just hit me up. I'll help you along the way. Anyways, happy driving. Stay safe. Take care.